Hello, welcome to the Silver Hair Tsunami Show. My name is Steve Sexton, your host. With over 100 million people in the United States, we're all about educating you, getting you the information you need to know in order to manage the changing tides of retirement. On today's show, we have an outstanding show for you. We have Jonathan Giroux. He's going to help people find money to go spend some time in those wonderful places you want to travel to. We've got Don Meredith with the change in real estate as people transition out of it. He's going to help us with reducing and eliminating taxes. And 3, we have Devin Patel, the CEO and co-founder of GeoStar. He's going to dispel the myths and misinformation about stem cell research. You know what? It's going to be a great show. Stick with us. Hello, welcome back. You know what? Charities. You know, we've had many charities, Stars of Courage, Friends of Downtown San Diego, Just in Time for Foster Youth on our show. Many people think that, hey, giving $1, 50 cents, whatever, or even clothes or furniture to charities, hey, it doesn't have that big of an impact. Well, it actually does. Individuals gave $358 billion last year to charities. So if you don't think your small donation makes a difference, it does. One of the big things people need to take a look at when they're looking at charities is, first of all, hey, choose the charity. How do you choose a charity? You know, a lot of people look at many different charities and they see the ones in the news, breast cancer, so on and so forth, but you really want to pick one that tugs at your heartstrings. It might be, you know what, breast cancer. It might be making blankets for people who are going through chemotherapy. So look around, find the one that makes a difference in your life. 2, avoid scams. You know what? There's a lot of scammers. They want to take your hard-earned money. And when they want to take your hard-earned money, you want to stop that. And the way to stop that is ask them for information about their mission, where the money goes, who they spend it on, and their 501c3. If you're going to pay, make sure you do by check. Make sure you get a receipt. That way you'll know it's there. 3, investigate technology. If you're investigating the technology, you have, you know, GoFundMe, Kickstarter. These are great websites to go and help people with charities, but you got to know 4 to 8% of that's actually going to the web service as it is. So make sure you look at what's occurring with the internet to see if it makes sense for you, because you could be giving a lot away of your hard-earned money to somebody who's just getting the funds to somebody else. Now, what can you give? You don't have to give money. You can give your time. My wife and I, we donate our time at a farm, and this farm grows vegetables and fruits for a food pantry. Or my daughter, she makes blankets called the Binky Patrol for people who are going through chemotherapy. So you don't have to give. You can give your time, you can give clothes, you can give food, whatever you think is important. The big reason why people give to charities is the tax deduction. Okay, you want to make sure you get a receipt for that tax deduction. Never pay cash. And you know what? You want to make sure you get a 501c3 on there as well. And you know what? There's many other ways that you can give to charities through charitable remainder trust, charitable lead trust, unit trust, and they can make a difference in your financial future as well. So how much do you decide when you're going to give to charities? It's real simple. Work it out with your budget. You might determine you can give a few dollars each and every month through your payroll to your charity. That's it for the tip of the day. Stick with us. We got more to come. Hey, welcome back. You know what? One of the big things that we've been receiving this week has been emails. You know what? We're in summer here. People are going on vacation. But one of the big things is we have people who, you know what, they've got this big mortgage, they want to do other stuff, and they're trying to find the money to go and do extra things and go on vacation and do the wonderful things that they want. And we decided, hey, look, what are areas that we can reduce or eliminate some expenses and maybe redirect it to the things we want to go to. So I have Jonathan Giroux. He's a vice president at Synergy One Lending, and he's going to help us out and see if we can help us out there. Jonathan, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much. Always good to be here, and thanks for having me. You know, it's interesting. You talk about doing the things we want to do, whether it be travel, spending time with the family, those little getaways, and you know, the thing that I see, the biggest debt that people probably have, you know, typically is their mortgage. That's their biggest liability on a monthly basis, and that's what we have to kind of look at first. I mean, that's one of the things that I do, and I do mortgage checkups annually for people, where we're looking at it and making sure that the mortgage is the best suited. It's at the best rate, the best terms for their lifestyle at that particular time. And years ago, people would use kind of their homes with stated income loan days, where people were really using it as an ATM. And I'm not advocating using a mortgage as an ATM, but instead looking at the mortgage and seeing how can we improve upon that for a lifestyle. And give you some examples. I mean, if you want to travel, typically we need more income, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's what we need to do. So I kind of looked back to go, what do we have for examples here? So I'm going to give you an example of a real life scenario here. Here's somebody they've been in their mortgage for 15 years. They started out at 600 grand, tinkering at about half that right now, right about 300 grand. They're at 6%. Interest rates are far better than 6% right now. But a lot of people are reluctant to kind of do something with that because they're 15 years into it. However, they're reaching this retirement time frame where they want to spend time traveling, taking vacations, going on a cruise, but they're limited on funds. So you take a look at that mortgage, you refinance that $300,000 mortgage, you lower their payment by $2,200 a month, Steve. $2,200 a month.
That's a lot of money.
You can do some traveling on that.
That's almost $28,000 a year.
Yeah.
There's trips, there's cruises, the whole shot. And just to echo that point, as a financial professional, we look at people's mortgages because when you're in retirement, it's all about income and living the quality life you want. And if you're hampered from that, you really want to take a look at all options, whether it be a mortgage, your investments, your taxes. And you just gave us a great avenue for people to go live the life. Now, they're not doing it on an ATM, which means they're not taking the money out on buying a car or a vacation home. But what they are doing is they're saying, hey, look, I'm going to reduce my mortgage. I'm still going to get that wonderful tax deduction, but now I'm going to be in a position where I can go spend it on other things that make a difference to me. And the way I look at it, if you're paying 6% on a mortgage, you've got a lot of money falling through the cracks here. Because you know what? Once interest rates start going up, and it might be 2 or 3 years before they start really getting up to the 5 or 6 range again, that could be detrimental to you. And right now is the opportune time to do things like that. Now, one of the things I also want to bring out to you is this. Some people, they've got those mortgages. Is there opportunities where they can actually significantly increase their income and their assets?
Yeah. So great question. And this is something where, I've helped somebody do this. So, very low mortgage on their current house, $100,000. And looking at investment properties, right? So whether it be a commercial building, whether it be even an investment home or multi-unit type home, you can leverage your current home, pull money out of that home, and put that money down on an investment property like a commercial building. And what we found is, a couple $100,000, $300,000 out of a home, putting it into a commercial building, and reaping the benefits of that commercial income coming in, and paying everything and reaping a positive income of about $3,000 a month.
I was just going to say, I have one client that actually did that exact thing. What he did is he kept his payment the same on his mortgage, although the mortgage is larger.
Yes.
He took a little over $300,000 out, bought a $1 million medical building, and basically he's paying, the proceeds from the building are paying for his mortgage, and then on top of it, he's got another $36,000 a year. But what he also has is a $29,000 a year write-off from depreciation, plus the other things. He's paying taxes on none of it, so he's got free and clear income that's increased. And on top of that, when we talked about it, he's getting an increased equity in the building. That's a wonderful strategy. Thanks for sharing that with our viewers, JJ.
Yeah, I think it's great, and it's just it's figuring out the right strategy for the right situation.
Now, when you do things like that, is it important? Well, I believe it's important to have a financial professional with you, 100%. So they can make sure there's the efficacy of the strategy, because sometimes it's the right thing, sometimes it's the wrong thing.
It's not for everybody.
Yeah.
Neither of these strategies for everybody, and you have to make sure that it's the right thing, because everybody's situation is different.
That's perfect. Hey, thank you so much for being with us today. This is wonderful. Hey, look, if you're looking to find that extra money to go travel, be with family, help out some of the grandkids, looking at a mortgage is a proper way to do that, but you want to make sure your financial professional's involved. For more information on what JJ just said, hey, go to the Silver-Haired Tsunami website. Stick with us. We got more to come. Hello and welcome back. You know what? There's a big trend happening with people over 50, and it's in real estate. And basically what's happening is this. We're seeing a number of people, once they get over 50 and they get to a point where, hey, we're about to retire, they look to do multiple things. One, hey, they're looking to downsize because they've got most of their money tied up in their home, and they want to find a smaller residence that costs less and take the balance and go, you know what, go have fun in retirement. Or, you know what, they could need a downsize for the purpose of health. They might have kids that are, you know, moved back east, so they're going to separate the property. Or, you know what, the house is just too darn big. And then we have people who are in real estate, and they have those rental properties. And they love those rental properties. The problem is they've been to Home Depot 1,200 times. They're getting interrupted during vacations, and they no longer want the trash, the tenants, or the toilets. They just want to be, you know, cocktails and cruises. Now, this is creating a big problem, and here's the issue. Most of these people have owned their house for more than 20 years. And as such, they have to deal with significant taxes, and they want to create an income from the proceeds, and you know what, it's just not working out, and here's why. I'll give you an example. We have a person that came to us. They might have a $200,000 basis. That means they bought their house and fixed it up for about $200,000. They have that exclusion of $500,000 because they're married, but their house is worth $1.3 million, so they have to pay taxes on $600,000. And you know, that's almost $250,000 they're going to have to pay in taxes. And you know what? They go talk to their CPA. They have an issue, and the issue is, oh my God, what am I going to do? I have to wait for the house to either sell at a higher rate, so offset the taxes, or I don't sell at all and get stuck, and it's frustrating. Not only the people own the home, their family wants to help them out, and people want to help them like realtors. That's why we have Don Meredith, from President of Tactical Income. He's here to help us. Welcome to the show, Don.
Thank you, Steve. Thanks. Good to be here.
Now, like I said, these issues are frustrating, you know, not only their families, the person that's in the house, as well as the realtors looking to help them. So, you know what, how do we deal with this? What are some of the options?
Well, you know, you have 100 million people over the age of 50 right now. So we're gearing up as a financial firm to handle these issues. And some of the issues we see are, well, I'd like to see more CPAs talking to attorneys, talking to the financial planners, and closing that loop. Because we see a lot of real estate. People are selling, downsizing, selling larger real estate. They're selling businesses and paying taxes. We're seeing large tax bills, and we're thinking, wait a minute, maybe you should have slowed down, talked to the CPA, talked to the attorney. Let's find out what's on the table. There's these things called deferred sales trusts that can help with some of these issues. You've got large capital gains tax. Some people have owned their house for 40, 50 years, Steve. Mm-hmm. And so if they slowed down, did a little planning, you can relieve a lot of these capital gain issues. You just got to get into the planning mode. And we're also working with realtors now. We're just starting a process of working with realtors to give them a seat at the table in the planning process with this group.
Hey, Don, you know what? We brought some slides to help everybody follow along. So could you go through some of the options that people have if they're looking to downsize their homes?
Sure, absolutely. Well, you have deferred sales trusts, Steve. These have been researched. They've been around for 20 years under different names, but any research will show that these are highly credible. It's a strategy that should be looked at. You have deferred sales trust. It really can defer capital gains in a very efficient way.
Don, you know what? One of the things as a planner I see people saying, you know what, I have an option. I can do nothing. Obviously, I can stay in my home. Or I can pay the taxes. So if I've got $600,000 I have to pay taxes on, I'll have to write a check for $225,000. But the problem is it might not help me get to where I want to go, especially if I'm looking at one of those transitional living facilities or use the money for other means. And then we have, you know what, you know about 1031 exchanges, don't you? How do those work?
Of course. This is a big part of our business. You have all these baby boomers, 50 or 60 years old, that have been accumulating property for a long period of time. And they may have enjoyed the process of managing them during that time, Steve. But now we're finding they're a little older, maybe they have health issues. They need to be looking at some of these strategies. One of these strategies is a 1031 exchange, but they may not want to go out sell that property, go out and buy a new one that they have to manage. So there's also a thing called Delaware Statutory Trust. It's institutional real estate, but it's designed for them to sell their rental property, bring those funds over. It's a financial product, but they can continue to get monthly income, sometimes more than when they were managing. They can get all the recapture. They can reset the clock on depreciation. They can get monthly income. And best of all, Steve, they don't have to talk to tenants. They don't have to take that Christmas weekend phone call with the toilets and the issues that go with it.
They're going to have the cocktails and
Yeah.
cruises then.
And you know what? In 2004, the IRS added specific language to the DST, the Delaware Trust. So it's very clear, a 1031 exchange.
Now, one of the things that I found that some people will do if they are looking at doing a 1031 exchange, obviously to avoid the taxes and have the income, is if they have a couple years before they're making their transition, I see them looking at renting their portion of their house out so they can 1031 exchange the portion that they rented out and still get the $500,000 exclusion, thereby avoiding taxes, and use that the Delaware Statutory Trust that you talked about to create the income that they need. Is that correct?
Yeah, and we recommend that you talk with your CPA and that you talk with a 1031 accommodator, one of these 1031 exchange experts, to make sure that we're not in that gray area. We want to make sure that they're very specific about what they want to do and the legal time limits to make those exchanges. So we don't want any issues on any possible audits. But this is a very, very practical strategy to look at.
Now, I want to thank you for coming on to the show today to share those things. I appreciate it. Don, appreciate it. Thank you very much. Now, if you're looking at transitioning your real estate out, we talked about, obviously, paying your taxes, not paying the taxes. We talked about a 1031 exchange, whether you have a primary residence or if it's rental property. You have that deferred sales trust where you can completely avoid taxes. But there's other things like conservation easements where you can reduce your taxes. There's tax credits, tax deductible investments, charitable remainder trust. There's multiple things you can pick and choose from. If you're just getting from your CPA, you have these taxes to pay. You probably want to talk with your advisor and other people that might have the experience that you need to get you where you want to go. So for more information, go to the Silver Hair Tsunami website. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Steve Madsen. My wife Debbie and I are the owners of this fabulous home in beautiful Coronado. We decided to put solar in the home because we wanted to have a smaller carbon footprint and we wanted to save some money. I'm a retired contractor and I've worked with Baker Electric in the past, so when I found out they had a solar division, I was ecstatic. They're a good company, got integrity, a good work ethic. I would definitely recommend Baker. My wife and I are extremely happy with what they've done for us.
Hello, welcome back. We have a wonderful guest. I've just been so excited for this one guest. It's Devin Patel. He's the president, CEO, and co-founder of GeoStar, which is a global institute of stem cell therapies and research. Basically, what they're doing is they're bringing stem cell therapies to the masses for the world that's suffering from degenerative and genetic diseases, and they're trying to make it affordable. Dr. Patel, Devin, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Now, stem cell research is a lot of people know a little bit about it.
Yes.
So what is stem cell science and regenerative medicine? What is that?
I'll make it very simple so everybody can understand. Stem cell is the master cell of the body, and from there the entire body is created. And their job is to repair or regenerate anything that degenerates in our body. So if your liver function is going down or your heart function is going down, stem cells are there and their job is to regenerate. That's why it's called regenerative medicine.
Okay, so basically it's all about healing our own body using our own stem cells.
Absolutely.
Okay, there's a lot of skeptics. People don't know what they don't know, and they're concerned about the risk causing tumors and many, many other things. Geez, when I was looking at this, there's people going, "Oh no, don't do that."
Yes.
Help us, dispel the misinformation.
I'm glad you asked that question. That's a very important question because there's a lot of misinformation in media about the stem cell science. But there are adult stem cell, there's embryonic stem cell, there's iPS cell, induced pluripotent stem cell. Adult stem cell that we use for the last 30, 40 years, and it's a regular clinical practice, well-established clinical practice in the United States and rest of the world, which we call bone marrow transplant for lymphoma, leukemias, blood-related diseases, thalassemia, sickle cell anemia, many of those diseases. And we've been practicing it for so long, but we call it bone marrow transplant, not stem cell transplant, because that was an old term. In old days, you used to pull the old bone, full bone marrow, and then stick the same bone marrow, not knowing it is the stem cell within that bone marrow that was treating the conditions. But so it's as science evolved and expanded, now we have a better way of treating patients. And then now, the myth is about embryonic stem cell. That what you said, it would form a tumor. So embryonic stem cell, if it's not done properly, not differentiated properly, then chances that it will form a tumor. But embryonic stem cell is not in a clinical practice. It is in a research stage. There are some clinical trial, and the first clinical trial approved by US FDA in 2007. There was also our chairman, Dr. Anand Srivastava, was involved at UCI and Christopher Reeve Foundation, the Superman.
Yes.
So that was the first clinical trial approved by US FDA to treat spinal cord injury in human using embryonic stem cell. So here's the answer to your myth.
Okay. Now, what's the mission and focus of GeoStar? Because I think it's a wonderful one because you're trying to reduce the cost, which is so very expensive.
Our vision is very simple. This is the most advanced, most elite, and most expensive science of our age, And our vision is to make it available to the masses. Now, in the United States, if you go to any of those top hospitals for bone marrow transplant, for lymphoma, leukemias, stem cell transplant, it costs $250,000 per treatment, or it reached to $500,000. But it's covered by insurance and everything, so yes, it can be afforded, but still, it's a lot of money. So our job as a R&D company, research-oriented company, hardcore research people, we are going around the world working with the world governments and help them develop their stem cell research and stem cell transplant program, where we bring down the cost to almost 1/10 of it. So like in India, we're working with the government of India, and instead of $250,000, we're trying to bring that cost. We have already brought down to almost $25,000, even lesser than that.
So you brought it to 10% of the actual cost?
Tenth of a cost. We reduced it 90% of the cost because we're a research-oriented organization, so we have ability to do that. Not everybody can do that, and we have a government support. So just in India, we're gearing up and building the world's largest stem cell treatment hospital to treat the most downtrodden people on the earth, the tribal people who don't even have a roof on their head. And these are the people who are going to get the most advanced science.
Oh, wow.
At almost no cost. Talk about the mission and a power of dream, or power of passion and power of commitment. And the political will and the private will meet, you can really make it happen.
Now, what governments are you working with? Multiple governments to do this?
Yes, we're working with the many different world governments. We're working with the Thailand. We're working with the Chinese. We're working with the India, of course. That's where originally I'm from. We're working with some Colombia. We're working with the Mexico. We're working with a couple other countries that I don't even remember.
Well, now here's one of the things. You know what? These regenerative spinal injuries. What other ailments can be treated through regenerative medicine?
There are almost 2,000 plus clinical trial underway around the world and in the United States. So people say, oh, can you do stem cell? Yeah, there are 2,000 clinical trials. That's a large number of data being created, and there are thousands of patients are part of these studies, and we have tremendous data being created in the last 16 years. And California is at the forefront of it because California government created a serum, California Institute for Regenerative Medicine, which gave us a $3 billion in 2004 through Prop 71. And now they're converting that funding into $10 billion. So, science is growing by leaps and bounds around the world, not just in the United States, but the United States still in the lead.
So, I was just really curious, what other things can, help cure? I mean, are we talking people that have cancer?
There are many aspects of it. A lot of autoimmune diseases can be treated, diabetes, lung disease, liver disease, kidney diseases that can be treated.
Oh, wow.
Also, spinal cord injury can be treated. Many neurological conditions can be treated. But this is all coming very fast. Now cat is out of the bag. You can't say, oh, this is 20 years away or 10 years away. In 5 years, we're going to see a lot of treatments available for these kind of diseases.
That's wonderful. Now, how do you address, the affordability? I know you have governments working with you, but it's still expensive. Affordability, accessibility, effectiveness of the treatments. How do you address all that?
I'll give you a very simple example. The example of the affordability, accessibility, and effectiveness. Just in India, we treated in one of our hospitals a spinal cord injury patient, a young man who works for the electrical company, so he would go up the pole and repair things. He fell off. He was, I think, the 28-year-old.
Oh, wow.
And he had basically spine was cut in two pieces, So he was in bed. He was getting his physical therapy and everything, but nothing was happening for almost a year and a half or two. And then we brought him in our spinal cord injury study. And after first transplant, he started feeling some bladder control. A little bit later on, the bowel control. Then he had a sensation in his leg. Then he can get on his knee and move around, eat his own food. He doesn't have to wear a diaper. We did, of course, couple transplant over 6-7 months. And I come to U.S. and I tell our scientists, like, oh, this is great, this is awesome. And they're saying, oh, that's only 5% improvement. And I said, no, when you look at a lifestyle point of view, affordability point of view, accessibility point of view, and effectiveness, this is 1,000% improvement. A person who makes $500 a month, we made it affordable to him. We made it accessible to the person of such a lower level income person. And we made it effective enough that a man can eat with his own hands and live a dignified life. So talk about that.
You know what? That's wonderful. The quality of life that somebody can have just by using these therapies can make a difference. And the ability for, usually you're in the United States, sometimes if you don't have a lot of money, you're going to get basic medicine, and that's it. And I think that's wonderful. Devin, thank you so much for coming onto the show and dispelling the myths, the misinformation, and showing us how medicine can be lower cost so it can be affordable to everybody.
Yeah, I thank you for inviting me, and I just wanted to add we are developing with the U.S. Navy a special program for our soldiers.
Oh, that's even better. Thank you. You know what? For more information, you want to go to the Silver Hair Tsunami website to find out about Devin, GeoStar, and how the accessibility and affordability of regenerative medicine can make a difference possibly in your life. So stick with us. We'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Steve, and this is my wife Amy. We just had our solar panels installed by Baker Electric. Living out here in the East County, the temperatures can be in the mid-70s to over 100.
We didn't know a lot about solar. Speaking with our solar consultant, he was there to answer any of our questions that we had. He was always there when we needed him.
I think the fact that Baker does go in-house with their employees, everyone is very professional and very polite, and they're on budget. We couldn't have gone with a better company.
What a wonderful show today. We had Devin Patel, a true pioneer in stem cell research. They're making it affordable. We had Don Meredith talk about reduction of taxes. We all want to do that. And then we have Jonathan Giroux to help us find the money to go do the extra travel. You know what? If you're looking for more information on our segment state, you want to go to our website at the Silver Hair Tsunami, or follow us on Facebook, and make sure you check out that wonderful travel event with Wayne Dunlop. He's going to talk about how to travel the world for less when it costs to living at home, whether you're on a luxury or budget. We had a great show today. We'll look forward to seeing you next week.